Hey there, how y'all doing? This is just airing out a few things because I do this with my heart and soul and the essence of my spirit to just let some of these things go because these are things that I cry very deeply about, okay? Because I have so much eternal love and compassion and empathy for a system it was essentially holding people's energy captive to a slave system, okay? And particularly those that work in jobs for the government. Now, I don't want to start crying here, but it's true because they have families and children, right? They're trying to survive the best way they can. They have a government job. I'm reminded, I've said this before, when Robert David Steele was the CIA case manager, right? He said, these are decent, hardworking people trapped in a bad system. And of course, I've mentioned this before with teacher John Gato, who certainly figured it out, that these elitists, vampires, if you will, control freaks, right? Pathological liars. You know what a pathogen is, right? A parasitic pathogen. That's a virus. That's called a mind virus, which is known as a fractal mind virus. So what happens if you have a virus in a supercomputer? It's no different than a Trojan horse. Something that broke into your codes, broke into your DNA, corrupted all your file cabinets, corrected all your codes, right? So you're not running the original operating system, the original template. That would be your 12 by 12, right? Base 12. That's mankind. That's a branch of mankind. They broke in. That began the war in heaven. So you know that heaven is going to have something to say about this, right? And obviously that means that's a lot of fire because I know there's a lot of fire in me, right? How's a mother and father as one going to be able to protect as a monopole, right? Go look at the planet. So I say this because of, as I mentioned before, you study how the mind works, particularly when you're talking about hierarchies or what I call Ponzi schemes or pyramids or the Vatican priesthood umbrella of Babylon, right? Feeding on your energy, right? Because their perception of power is inverted, right? They want to be at the top, so everybody on the bottom is being held slave to them so they can get all the goodies. Remember, 100 is too many, 1,000 not enough. $1 is too many, a gazillion dollars is not enough. Okay? They won't stop. They want to build bigger and bigger kingdoms, greater and greater control over one star system, over one galaxy. Let's go for another galaxy. Let's go for another galaxy. Okay? So you're not going to stop something that represents a virus. So then you get into the spread, the rate of spread, the acceleration in which it's spreading and infecting others, right? And that would be like the movie Contagion. It's contagious. Now you get into transfer, co-transfer, right? And so I had an episode, or how do I put this? I've been having to deal with government agency personnel for the last several months to see whether or not they were going to get their job done, right? And so you could see, particularly with me, because I was pushing in data into the U.S. government database. And then all of a sudden, when I go to put that data in, which has a tracking number, which is ID associated with my ID, okay, the data is not available. Data is not available. Wait a second. I know that data has to be available unless you're scrubbing it. Okay, so now you get into motivations. What would be the motivation to scrubbing? Now you can get into RAM, minus, / the plus, what you hold in memory, what you don't hold in memory, what you erase and delete. So they know how to do that. They know how to erase memories and reprogram. That's right. An operating system, software operating system. So you begin to realize something that on the level of artificial intelligence, what they call a smart grid, I can give you 1,000 examples, if not a gazillion examples of it's not very smart at all, actually. Because of its inability to be able to provide all the information, which is known as source code information, which means an open library, which is an open heart. It's connected with a soul and a spirit. Whoops. So I cry for many of these people who, because of COVID and all that, have been just up against the wall with stress and anxiety. So you know why they do that. Turbulent waters, water worlds are not in balance. because that's what they feed on. They want your central nervous system so that your positive bulb, the positive polarity, burns out. So they were trying to burn your bulb out. And then that goes the other direction, which is known as a descending spiral. That becomes a Death Star, and that becomes the same skull and bones you see on a Nazi SS cap. Right? Yeah. So you know they're dark, right? They don't have any love to give you. So that's why they knew they were in a race against time. They were in a race against actually no time, because they had to know Adam was going to be back with the mob, as Yellow Rose put it. So I simply want to make amends, if you will, to those, because I have to sort of, how do I put this? When you grow up through the ranks and you study the methods by which they use authority that's been programmed since childhood to obey an authority figure, I learned how to do that. Okay, which means I know how to act like an officer. Okay, somebody higher on the food chain, somebody who is of what we call command rank, because I've held command rank. So that means that I understand the sound language that they understand when they've been spoken to, as if a ranking officer has now been informed that the troops below them, which is known as delegated authority, have not been doing their job. That makes the commanding officer look bad. Why? Because now he's responsible for everything below him on a pyramid. So there's consciousness on top, which is the mother and the father, as above, so below, that's giving love to everything below them. Or if you will, looking to an event monitor, looking at all the timelines, where you want to jump in it, right? So you know that love is protection. That's a powerful shield. Love is what heals us. So after I got off the phone with this lady, she called me right back after I left a message. And essentially what I did is I put my officer's cap on, which basically would be a mother taking her gloves off or a father taking their gloves off and saying, listen, what's the matter with you people? You're totally unresponsive. I'm giving you data. I'm giving you information. I'm here. I'm giving you communication after communication. No response, no response, no response. What's the matter with your antenna? Right? So you know a lot of these folks are pushed up against the wall trying to do what? Process data. Process data through their head, their system, their RAM calculator, right? So I'm not comfortable having to speak in that kind of language. It's not abusive, but it's a command sort of authority type of command. What's going on here? You know, it would be the same thing as a captain, a lieutenant, a colonel, or a general saying, hey, man, everything's fucked up. What's going on here? Now, all of a sudden, they got to answer, don't they? Yeah, because you're pointing out to them, this is not supposed to be happening. And so you realize, and this is why I cry for them, why all that, what actually that does is put more stress on them as a result of being trapped in a system that's holding their consciousness or their energy captive to the system that they're operating in order to get a paycheck. Quantify that across the global landscape of everybody that's working a job and what you're held captive that way, that produces an enormous amount of stress and anxiety. Why they're at the dentist all the time, why they're at doctors all the time, why they're in ER rooms all the time, why they're drinking and taking drugs and stressed out and their relationships fall apart. Because their energy's breaking down. Because they're blowing holes in their energy field. Okay? And on this island, the big island, remember, this was a Draco stronghold. So there are a lot of demons on this island. I was told the other day, 65 to 7% of the people that are on this island are all crackheads. Oh, so you got 65, 70% of the people that are running around here using their nuclear reactor, which is the nucleus of a cell, to blow holes in their energy field. Yeah, I know. So that's, you know, for me, naturally, this goes back to my childhood, but certainly when I think of what I call a saturation point, was really the early 60s when Timothy Leary came out. The MK Ultra was in full bloom, but not like a full pink rose in bloom, right? With a green vine, right? Gifting you love, gifting you love. They don't have anything to gift you. They see us, and I knew this as a child. You're considered a resource. And that's when we get into resource utilization. utilizing these people as resource batteries, slave batteries, right? Plug them into a smart grid. Now we just plug them into being machines, doing work for us. And then you can get into Star Wars and cyborg armies and all the rest of that, right? So I think it was Kurzweiler, the guy that was head of Google. Goo. So anyway, my heart goes out to everybody that works for human services for the state of Hawaii. I love you all. I know how stressed out you are in order to keep up with what's happening. And that's when you get into erasing memories, because I was aware that they were erasing and scrubbing an enormous amount of stuff. And then what do? They run new data. So if you don't remember the old data, you're running on the new data. So this is one of the reasons why when I was a child, I knew what to keep and what to throw away, because you already realize how they do this. That is the blessing of being a single pole, right? So love is protection. A single pole is protection. So it's like, I this morning I had an interesting, even the system itself tells you, hey, 40 to 60% of the people that are on the internet, as if they're warning you, they're bots. They're bots. Okay, and I remember a long time ago, I was showing a lady how you can tell the difference between a bot and somebody who's got a soul. Okay. So I posted something on Maria Colvin Hill's YouTube channel, because she shows a lot of stuff. She was showing, I think it was this morning, dragons. So they're running a lot of fire, right? Bringing a lot of heat. And so somebody replied to my comment, right? And made a comment, and I'm just going to paraphrase this because I don't remember shit like that. Shit, right? S, and then hit the ball. Put an S in front of it. And that's it, right? No shit. Everybody knows what that is. It's what it means is it's emphasis, right? An emphasis. So people know what you mean when you say it that way, versus all the other ways in which you can use all kinds of other words that mean the same thing, right? Waste product. So what's happening, this guy made a comment like, what's the matter? Didn't you take your medicine, kitty? Called me Robbie. So these are these are AI war gamers, right? Artificial intelligence plugged into the system, communicating through the system, one computer terminal to another, right? So that's a war gamer. What is he trying to do? Get a negative magnetic reaction out of you, a negative emotional reaction. React to the input. He was providing the input because they study you. They study all your reaction states and they graph it. And they do this starting with children. That's how they program people into obedience. They know how to push all the buttons, which are all the codes, to get a negative reaction state. To do what? Go in the other direction. Be more dense. So you see where this is going. See, so when you're a single pole as a polarity integrator, you immediately know what they're trying to do. So it's just like, I am what love is. I am what love is. Send you flowers, baby. Because you know that a flower is more possible than somebody that's losing energy going in the other direction. So you don't want to feed them. You had a long standing, don't be feeding the vampire. They that's what it's about. They know that emotions are very powerful. A girl's emotions. I remember this when I was a child. From the male point of view, I love to ride with the most powerful waves of a girl's emotions, which is a higher octave when a flower's in bloom, when they're precious. They are so precious when you nurture their heart and soul and the essence of their spirit. So you got to know that a nature boy is a lover boy and knows how to romance a flower. So that flower is always in bloom. Right? So when you're a female and a male joined as one, which is Dion Trinity, as a single pole, it works both ways, right? So when you become one, it's like, yeah, I'm just as much you are, I am. So you become one. And what that does is that ends the struggle for power. There's no more struggle for power. And when you've chosen to become a monopole, the door slams shut. Sorry, you're done. Once that door is shut, once your soul has made that decision that you want to serve forever, gifting electrons forever, so that your soul is joined with another soul to become an oversoul, you're not going to fool Adam and Eve. Okay? No way. That's when a full fossil condition. Light yourself on fire because you already know what you are. That's right. So now you realize how powerful the love energy that you are is, because now you're giving away energy for eternity. That means that you are willing to serve forever in gifting love forever. That's a vow that you make to yourself as a soul, right? It means you've chosen to be one with one. A single point. That bullseye right in the center of a cross. It's over. There's no more struggle for power. You become the source of all power from which creation takes place. So you realize you represent the most powerful energy that's protecting anything in creation, which is the energy that protects the tree of life. That's the truth of it. Have a great day. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.